Tonight, an Issues primetime exclusive. Earth-shaking insight into the Casey Anthony case. Tonight, I'll sit down with Casey's now famous defense attorney, Mr. Jose Baez. His client is accused of killing her beautiful little daughter, Kaylee. Her body was found dumped near the Anthony home last December. The case has sparked national outrage, and Baez has become a magnet for media attention. Tonight, Jose Baez reveals his blockbuster defense strategy, but it's highly controversial. He's now focusing on the man who found little Kaylee's body. What does Baez think of the investigation, and what's his plan of attack? Nothing's off limits. From Zanny the nanny to Roy Kronk the meter reader, we're digging for new inside information on the latest defense allegations. Is the defense actually saying cops should consider the possibility of another suspect? And we'll go inside Jose's relationship with Casey Anthony. He's defending a suspected child killer, viewed in the media as public enemy number one. How does he explain the mountain of evidence and Casey's odd behavior after her child went missing? The party pictures, the chloroform, and the smell of death. And why on earth didn't Casey report her daughter missing for an entire month? Plus, from an unknown lawyer to the national spotlight, Baez has been hammered by the media. How does he feel in the white-hot glare of the spotlight? We're all over this story, asking all the questions in this primetime exclusive. Issues starts now. So much to discuss with my very special guest. Let's get right to it. Casey Anthony, defense attorney Jose Baez, welcome. We're very glad to have you here. So many questions I have wanted to ask you for a long time. Will Casey take the stand?
That's certainly something that a decision that gets made much later on in a case. It's definitely not something that we've made right now.
Well, if that happens, I'm going to be down there in that courtroom watching.
Front row seat, huh?
All right, Jose, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jay.
Welcome back to our special presentation. We just finished our exclusive primetime interview with Casey Anthony's defense attorney, Jose Baez, and now I'd like to welcome my fantastic panel and see what they think about what they heard. But I got to tell you guys that Jose Baez, when he found out there was going to be a panel, says, I want to stick around. So he's listening to what you have to say, and he may decide to comment on your comments. Joining me now, Judge Karen Mills Francis, former Miami-Dade County Court judge and host of the Judge Karen Show, prosecutor Stacey Honowitz, and former criminal investigator Steve Kardian. Stacey Honowitz, of course, Roy Kronk's attorney is saying that this is fabrication and calling it character assassination. What do you make of these new allegations by the defense team and what you've heard today?
Well, certainly I won't profess to know all of the evidence that's gone on in the case because I'm privy to everything that everybody else in the media has been privy to. But I believe what his lawyer is saying is appropriate. It is character assassination because the bottom line is, and Jose knows this, the defense's job in this case is to find reasonable doubt or to try to cause reasonable doubt. And how do you do that? You place the blame on somebody else. And so by trying to get in these prior bad acts of this witness, that's exactly what they're trying to do, to try to show the jury it couldn't possibly have been her. We have to focus on somebody else. Ergo, there is reasonable doubt. And that's the reason why this evidence is being tried to be admitted.
Judge Karen Mills Francis, you're the judge. Do you think the judge in this case will let this evidence that the defense says it is collected involving Roy Kronk?
Well, you know, I've been pretty hard on Mr. Baez throughout this whole process. I was a criminal defense attorney for 13 years before I was a judge. I looked at his motion. It's called a motion in limine. In Florida, a motion in limine is to exclude evidence, but his motion is asking the court to allow evidence. There is no such motion in Florida. Additionally, he's asking the court to allow evidence of what's known as prior bad acts. In Florida, it's called the Williams Rule. That's a prosecution motion. The prosecution can bring in evidence of the defendant's prior bad acts to show motive, intent, lack of mistake.
Well, I got to tell you that Jose Baez is shaking his head, but he doesn't really want to respond, but he's shaking his head. So we're going to move on to something that I don't think Jose Baez was going to comment on, so I save it for you guys. Remember Cindy Anthony's chilling 911 call? She talked about smelling a dead body in her daughter's car. Let's listen.
found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. Her mother finally admitted that she's been missing.
Okay, what is
here now?
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago that my daughter's been looking for. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Cindy later took that back and blamed the smell on rotting pizza, but Casey's dad, George, also told police he smelled death in the car. Listen to that.
I got within 3 feet of my daughter's car, and the worst odor that you could possibly smell in this world, and I've smelled that odor before. It smelled like a decomposed body.
Look at all this trash investigators took from Casey's car. Coffin flies were discovered buzzing around a bag of trash found in her trunk. Experts say the flies are drawn to decaying flesh. And prosecutors also said cadaver dogs also hit on the trunk. Investigators say they tested the air in the trunk and found signs of decomposition. Now, Steve Kardian, Jose Baez says that he's not going to reveal his defense strategy, but how difficult is it going to be to surmount all this apparent forensic evidence?
Jane, that's why law enforcement collected anything and everything that was in that car, anything they could take from the family and anything that they obtained from the crime scene. Note that the smell of death is an odor unlike anything else. And with Cindy's training, I believe, as a nurse, and George's training as a police officer, there's no way that they're mistaken. But law enforcement will probably continue to take a look at that evidence and see what's relevant to the case and to the prosecution.
All right. Do you want to ask that question, Jose? Okay. Jose would like me to ask, how many cases have any of you covered where air samples have been admitted as evidence? Because I guess the defense is apparently saying that a lot of this is pseudoscience, this air sample testing that shows signs of decomposition. How about Stacey take that?
I've never tried a case or covered a case with that, but there's always new evidence that could come into court. It's something called a Fry hearing. Jose knows that that's conducted in front of the court to see if this is reasonably accepted in the scientific, if it's accepted in the scientific community. And so there is a hearing to determine whether or not this kind of scientific evidence is admissible. And just because it's the first time doesn't mean that it's not going to be admitted in this case.
All right. Everyone stay right where you are. This is becoming more and more intriguing, isn't it? Let's give Jose the final word.
No, I'm talking about as to whether to take it personal or not. Mm-hmm. I don't think for anyone to suggest that I'm not taking this case seriously, it's ridiculous.
I think that is ridiculous. I think you are taking it very seriously, and I don't think anybody should attack you personally. You're doing a job, and I want to thank you again for
no problem.
coming on, Jose, and hopefully we'll talk to you as this progresses. Thank you, fabulous panel, for joining me as we delve into the Casey Anthony case with her attorney, Jose Baez, in our special Issues presentation. You are watching Issues on HLN.